Good day. Welcome to my presentation regarding the application of complex adaptive systems within the Wolf of Wall Street. During this presentation, we will be looking at how the lauded film Wolf of Wall Street manifests aspects of complex adaptive systems. For those unfamiliar with the Wolf of Wall Street, this film was released in 2013 by director Martin Scorsese, starring famous talents such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Jonah Hill, Margot Robbie, and Matthew McConaughey. The film went on to receive multiple Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Director. I chose this film in particular because I wanted to highlight that although a complex adaptive system can be functional, the system isn't necessarily considered ethical or moral. Therefore, the absence of the moral element could lead to the system's downfall. Before we begin, I would like to note that while the film itself presents mature elements that some may find offensive, this presentation does not include any of those mature elements. First off, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Andrew Novak. I am a graduate student within the McCoy College of Business at Texas State University, studying for my Master's of Business Administration with a concentration in Human Resource Management. Professionally, I work in the technology industry doing corporate financial planning and analysis. What we will touch on today, first I will give a brief synopsis of the film for any of those who may not have seen the film or need a refresher on the film. Secondly, I will define the elements that comprise a complex adaptive system, and then explore how those elements of a complex adaptive system apply to the Wolf of Wall Street. Lastly, we will look at the application of change process within Wolf of Wall Street and examine if the change was for better or worse. To begin our synopsis, in the early 1990s, talented investment broker Jordan Belfort starts his own brokerage firm, Stratton Oakmont. Teaming with his partner, Donnie Azoff, and others who will do his bidding, Belfort seeks to dupe his investors by getting them to buy supposedly high-reward securities known as penny stocks. This scheme sees their status on Wall Street, as well as their wealth, grow exponentially. So much so that the FBI and Securities and Exchange Commission start to take notice. With the authorities on to Belfort's trading schemes, he devises new ways to cover his tracks and watch his fortune grow. In his wake, Belfort throws lavish parties and abuses substances with his associates, ultimately leading to his firm's downfall, as well as his own professional and personal ruin. Now we pivot to exactly what a complex adaptive system is and what comprises such a system. Beginning with what a complex adaptive system is, it is simply just that. A complex system with a dynamic comprised of the various interactions among the agents that make up said systems. Now let's take a dive into the main components of a complex adaptive system. These components are agents, self-organization, rules, and emergence. To begin, agents are the individual entities that make up a complex adaptive system. Through agents interacting and adapting to one another, a behavioral pattern can emerge. The next element is self-organization. Self-organization is a process which agents undergo to develop new structures or patterns within their organization when new dynamics occur. The next element are rules. As may be obvious, these are the behaviors by which systems agents will act. And lastly, we have emergence, which is the process of an organic pattern of behavior coming forth that was not necessarily designed or planned for. This organic pattern is made manifest through the local interaction of the agents. Now that we have defined what a complex adaptive system is and what components make up a complex adaptive system, let's turn to how complex adaptive systems apply to the Wolf of Wall Street. First off, we will begin with the agents. The agents within the Wolf of Wall Street are Jordan Belfort and the employees, particularly the upper management of Stratton Oakmont. Through their interactions with each other, they were able to construct a system through which hundreds of millions of dollars would be funneled to a secret bank account and used to fund their lavish and degenerate lifestyle. However, Another agent is made manifest in a different system, the FBI and Securities and Exchange Commissions, who are working at cross purposes with the agents of Stratton Oakmont in order to stop them. This segues into our next component of self-organization. By looking at the system detailed in Wolf of Wall Street as a heterogeneous, complex adaptive system, we can look at the causality component as transformative, due to this system having multiple agents differing from each other. What this means is, essentially, the system takes on a life of its own. This is made manifest by Belfort opening up a brokerage firm where they supposedly sold reliable securities. After this, they loaded their sales with stocks that were not reliable and extremely risky. Because this made them a great deal of money, they then trafficked in money laundering and securities fraud. While Belfort was at the top organizing this system, there are those below him making sure the brokerage was successful in their scheme, and those below them making sure the money made was successfully laundered. This is evident as Donnie Azoff in Wolf of Wall Street brings Steve Madden into their money laundering scheme. And through this, Stratton Oakmont made millions of dollars by taking Steve Madden's shoes public. As explained by Woods, while successful for a time, this behavior made Belfort and Stratton Oakmont work at cross purposes with the SEC and the FBI due to globally maladaptive behavior. Next, we have the rules by which the system operates. This is a relatively easy section, as the only rule is to make as much money as you can, no matter what the moral or ethical cost is. As Belfort says in the film, pick up the phone and start dialing. This implies that call whoever and say whatever you need in order to make as much money as possible, regardless of the consequences. Eventually this, among other factors, causes the system to become more chaotic to the point it becomes vulnerable and attracts government attention and intervention. The last component of the system we will examine is what emergence occurs in Wolf of Wall Street. Due to every agent in Belfort's system concerned being themselves, an air of distrust surrounds our agents. This culture of distrust comes to a head when one of our agents, Donnie, gets into a fight with another agent, Brad, when Donnie gives Brad money to launder. A fight ensues, which catches the attention of the police, who then arrest Brad, which starts a domino effect that will eventually take Belfort's system down. And now we will pivot to the change process application in Wolf of Wall Street. When looking at the change processes that occur throughout the film, we see that change actually makes the system weaker and leads to its eventual demise. Much of the change in this system occurs due to Belfort himself. As he makes more money, he starts engaging in more risky and dangerous behaviors such as substance abuse. This substance abuse, along with Belfort's sycophantic associates, facilitate a downward spiral, as this evolution of change within Stratton Oakmont leads Belfort to launder money, which in the short term keeps him very wealthy, but in the long run is non-sustainable change and eventually causes the downfall of Stratton Oakmont and Jordan Belfort himself. To drive the presentation home, even though Belfort's complex adaptive system had all the components necessary to be successful: agents, self-organization, rules, and emergence. At the end of the day, Belfort's system could not survive, as his system was working at cross purposes with another complex system, the FBI and the Securities and Exchange Commission. In addition, we can also say that Belfort's system was adaptive on a local level, which worked out for him in the short term, but was, as David would say, globally maladaptive, resulting in Belfort's arrest and sentencing to prison. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I believe it was a good example of how complex adaptive systems can fail and hope you will agree. Thank you for your time.